Hello, everybody. I'm Attasio. I have with me again Ashwin Balaji, who is Vedic sidereal astrologer, and he made very interesting research into the harmony of the relationships in relation to the seventh, but also the second houses. So Ashwin is great in researching topics of astrology, and he produces amazing results. So what will you share with us, Ashwin, about the harmony in the relationships?
Thank you so much, Krasi. I'm very happy to be part of this series. The most basic thing that I stuck to from an Indian context, I think this is applicable to everyone in the world. So we have a family once we are married. I mean, our own immediate family. As an individual, we have a family after we are married. So I and my spouse, along with my kids, make a separate family. So that constitutes the actual essence of family, and those are the family members that are directly associated with you. And the parental relationship is the other thing. Okay, so I'm not saying that we have to keep away the parents or something. That's not the case. But I'm talking from how I'm talking from a dimension where how marriage and family is actually interlinked or interrelated to each other. So for example, second house. I'll first define what is second house and what is the seventh house. So from Vedic astrology point of view and from everywhere, from the global universal astrology point of view, second house is the house of family, and seventh house is the house of relationships or spouse. So so in order to have a harmonious relationship or harmonious family life, we need to have an uninterrupted married life and an uninterrupted family life. We have an uninterrupted family life when we have an uninterrupted married life. We have an uninterrupted married life when we have an uninterrupted family life after marriage. So it is a circle that comes around. So it is actually imperative to understand that both these houses are actually interlinked. So second house is the house of family, while seventh house is the house of marriage and spouse. So even let's say a person has an afflicted second house or second lord, but a very profound seventh house or seventh lord. So this particular person will have a little bit of hiccups or trouble in terms of running the family. For example, if you have a natural malefic like Rahu, the north node sitting in the second house, this person might be very nervous and might have a very short temper and can get easily offended or agitated, and reactiveness might be more. But due to the fact that this particular person has a very good seventh house on the seventh lord, the family life will be uninterrupted, and the married life, in that case, we have already interlinked the second and seventh house. So the married life will also be uninterrupted in that case. So in this case, there will be a very even though there are a little bit of arguments and discussions within the family, the case of separation is not very much possible because of the promise that seventh house holds to the native. So let's see the other case round now. Let's say a person has a weak seventh house but a strong second house, which is the house of family. So in this case, we have good promise in the second house, that is the promise of having a good family. So here, if the seventh house is weak, or if the seventh house or the seventh lord remain afflicted in the natal chart, we have to consider the timing period that the particular person is running in and see if there is any kind of separation that is coming up in the near future. So this will also be reflective in the second house. So just because this is interlinked, if there is a problem that is arising in the seventh house, there is also a problem or a kind of hurdle or an interruption in the second house as well. That is in relation to the family matters. So it is quite indicative in the chart from both second and seventh house. It is not just seventh house always. Second house is always somehow related. So here, let's say the person is going ahead and he's getting separated, he or she is getting separated due to the afflicted seventh house, but still there is a strong second house. So in this case, we can conclude to some extent to say that this particular person will have a second marriage or second spouse based upon the based upon the other transits and the timing periods that are coming up that relate or that trigger another new relationship or marriage.
But Ashwin, I personally very much support this, because I learned this 1 year ago from you. I use it; it works amazingly. The use of second house in relationship to marriages and relationships. I agree, but what is happening with seeking this, because these people will ask us what is happening with seeking the second and the third marriages into the ninth and in 11th houses. How are you positioning them?
Yeah, I think this is a very debatable topic as it is. I don't know if any Vedic text or any classical text states that second marriage is related to ninth house or 11th house. Okay. See, I don't work with the concept of second marriage is related with ninth house, because if you get divorced once, still your relationships will be related to the seventh house, and your seventh lord is very much indicative or descriptive of the kind of relationships that we are going to get into. And ninth lord or ninth house doesn't have any relationship to talk about it. Okay, that is something I have done my research on. And marriage in ninth house, I don't think it is directly related, but the only place where we can relate with the ninth house is the house of fortune and luck. And we can say that if a particular person is fortunate or lucky enough to have that second chance or opportunity in life to have a married life, that is one of those cases. But still, seventh house is very much related to marriage, and relationships are very much related. Relationships are very much related only to the seventh house. And I don't necessarily agree with the fact that people say that it is relating to ninth house. My stand is strictly relationships is equal to seventh house, and I can accept the 11th house to some extent, because whatever we gain in our life is directly related to the 11th house, because 11th house is the house of gains, and any second chance that we get in our life can be called as a gain. So, or luck or something like that. So I think 11th house is much more descriptive or indicative of second marriage than the 9th house, speaking from a very logical
Yes.
perspective.
But Ashwin, then how will you distinguish the partners? Like, one will say, how will my second partner look like? What his character, his nature, his appearance will be? How you distinguish between the two partners in the chart? If you're looking only at the 7th house, for example.
Okay, so okay, yes. See, this is a very interesting question, because interesting and also a very important question in terms of predictive astrology, because a person will come and ask how my second marriage or how my second partner is going to be like. So still, as an astrologer, I think I will stick to my 7th house. This is my perspective, and I'm just sharing my perspective. I'm not asking anyone to actually hold on to this perspective. Maybe you can go ahead and research this and have your own ideas and opinions or suggestions or feedback. You can please comment on this video. But still, my perspective is 7th house, and how to look at what kind of a spouse that we are going to have as a second partner or a second life partner. So here, I think we should take the Lord of the 7th house, and the actual sign in which the Lord of the 7th house is making its transit in the Navamsha chart. That is the D9 chart of Vedic astrology, which is the which deals with the relationships and marriage. So I think the sign in which the 7th Lord is placed in transit in relation to your Navamsha chart is actually very significant in terms of indicating how your second life partner is going to be like. And it is also very, very important. This is the most basic stuff to see which dasha you are running or which bhukti you are running. So based upon the placement of dasha lord on the bhukti Lord. For example, if your Dasha Lord is transiting the 6th or the 8th house, again, you're not going to meet a very cordial life partner with whom you can spend the rest of your life with. So, in the same way, if your Dasha Lord is actually transiting your 2nd house and has some kind of relationship with the 7th Lord, this is another wonderful time for you to get into a family life, because the Dasha Lord is transiting the 2nd house in the transit. So these are some of the things where how we can actually analyze the timing. But in terms of psychological and character analysis, we have to take into consideration the nature of the planet and the sign in which these planets are placed in transit, and also in the Navamsha, and have the Navamsha chart and superimpose the transit chart and see where the Dasha Lord or the 7th Lord is transiting in respect to both transit and Navamsha chart. So, for example, if a person has Venus as 7th Lord, and and if so, let's say Aries ascendant, Aries rising, and Venus is the 7th Lord, and this person is already separated. So here, let's say this person has Aquarius rising in the Navamsha chart, and I don't think Aquarius rising. Yeah, I don't think Aquarius rising will be right. But let's say Virgo ascendant. So now, if Venus is transiting the 2nd house, so 2nd house is Libra, okay, and this is super indicative of another family life, and this is also the 7th house from your natal rising sign. So this is very much indicative of the fact that Venus is the planet of love, and Libra is also the planet of union, the planet of relationships, the planet that brings balance to our lives. So Venus in this case brings a perfect balance between marriage and relationships, and Venus will actually prove to be very significant in terms of kickstarting yet another married life, given that you are running a very favorable dasha at that time.
Yes, and given that you have these promising factors in the natal chart as well. And Ashwin, I just to say that I think the role of the moon, once again, we say nothing is happening without the moon, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, so
I just wanted to bring the moon.
No moon, nothing. Yeah. So
no moon, nothing.
There is one rule, I think Regio Montanus, my favorite astrologer. Yes, he's basically, and I do this and works brilliantly, following up the application aspects of the moon in the natal chart. Then you can be very descriptive for the partners to come in the life of the people when there are tight aspects, and when the moon is applying to aspects with planets, especially if Jupiter and the 7th house lord, of course, yes. So yes, how the moon is being used in the Vedic astrology then in terms of relationship?
Okay, moon is the planet of nourishment and comfort. So see, we always tend to look transit from rising sign point of view, but in India, transit is largely seen from moon's position. Okay. So moon is the psychological self. So if moon is happy, we are happy, and if moon is not happy, we are not happy. That is the basic condition that Vedic astrology preaches, or the ancient traditions, like using the Sudarshan chakras, which has the rising sign sun, the perspective from rising sign, perspective from sun sign, and the perspective from moon sign. But for some reason, moon sign perspectives have it has come up as a very important tradition in terms of analyzing the transits in a particular chart. So let's say the dasha lord is placed in again 6, 8 or 12 relationship with moon, or if dasha is rahu and it is transiting your natal moon, so again there will be like traumatic relationships, or the life partner could be addictive if you're running a rahu dasha which is not favorable in your natal chart, and if rahu is transiting over your natal moon, and if there is any other significations of getting into a relationship, you won't get into a good relationship, and you will probably have a very forgettable relationship which might not last longer. So there are so many cases where you enter into an abusive relationship and stuff. So nodes and the Saturn and nodes and Saturn and Mars play a very important role. And this tends to change based upon the if Saturn is a functional benefic in the chart of astrology point of view. So first, let me establish what is functional benefic and what is functional malefic. So functional benefic to a particular rising sign is the planet that rules either an angular house or a trine house. So, or the ninth house, a planet should rule 1, 5, 9, or 4, 1, 4, 7, or 10. 7 is also called as a marka. So let's not stick to 7. Let's say 4 and 10 is the fourth and 10th lords are benefics, while fifth and ninth lords are also benefic. However, the 6th, 8th, and 12th lords are not benefic, and they are termed as functional malefics in Vedic astrology. So if Saturn happens to be a functional benefic, you might and if your seventh lord or moon gets into a connection with Saturn in transit, or if there is a Saturn or moon related dasha that you're progressing through, you might get into a very constructive relationship, or a relationship that is very serious, but still it is very good and reasonable in terms of extending it to a longer period of our life. So
Yes.
that's very.
Cheers. Yes. Yes. This makes perfect sense. Very good to note you made. Especially in relation to the harmony in the relationships, that Saturn is not necessarily malefic. Saturn can bring stability even. So Saturn it's not necessarily malefic. Absolutely.
Yeah, and let's take Mars. Mars is the planet of desire and energy. If Mars tends to be a functional benefic, Mars will act as a positive planet in terms of pushing us to stabilize the relationship.
Yes, yes. Don't
Bit of
worry.
sickness.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you like that we conclude this? And I have the idea next time when we discuss the relationships, these are our series that we talk about cheating partners. So this will be very interesting.
Cheating partners.
Yes, this will be
Cheating
interesting.
partners is very interesting, but I just hope and advise the viewers not to take the cheating partners thing directly from what we say, but it includes a lot of research and analysis. And if you have any kind of astrological doubts, don't please contact a professional astrologer and don't come into a conclusion just by watching the video.
Absolutely. This is our disclaimer. Don't hurry to come into conclusion. This is just a hint that you may like to use to base future research. But yes, yes. So we conclude, Ashwin, with this. It was very interesting that people should look not only at the seventh, but also at the second house and the second house Lord in order to see the harmony and the potentials in the relationships, because in the modern astrology, the second house is mainly related to money and the way we earn money, but it's very rarely related to home and family roots. So, and
I
it
think there
works
is
perfectly.
So there is one more thing we have to do before getting into cheating partners is that there are cases where the natal chart holds a lot of promise in terms of relationship, but this person might end up in a divorce or a bad relationship. And if you see very deeply, you see a planet being debilitated in the Navamsha chart, so the D9 chart. So I think we also need to present that to the viewers so that it becomes a complete circle in terms of explaining how a married life works in terms of both family and relationship perspective.
So next time we will show the Navamsha chart. We briefly say how we make the Navamsha chart, and we show with examples how this works. This will make better sense. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. This was great, very informative, and I think it's absolutely valid and reliable. Since you told me 1 year ago approximately about the second house, it works brilliantly. I always look at both seventh house Lord to second house, and it's I approve. I fully agree with you. This works perfectly. So thank you so much, Ashwin, and we continue our series next
Thank
week.
you.
Thank you very much.